there guys, Templar here, and today I'll be talking to you guys about the flag bearers during the American Civil War. Now, what are flag bearers, you guys might ask? You probably mistaking it for a flag bearer on a parade ground, marching. It's something like that, but not exactly true. Parade bearers are a little almost like the flag bearers during the American Civil War, except during the American Civil War, flag bearers actually carried what you might actually symbolize actually a symptom of, well, bravery and such. And technically, it was actually the really cool part. This is actually the really cool part about the flag bearer. It technically stated that if the flag would always, well, stand, then it stated that the regiment should still stand its ground. So in other words, if the flag bearer falls, then it's time to retreat. However, though, the flag bearer must never fall. It was stated by the United States military. Even by the Confederate military, it was stated the flag must never touch the ground. So in doing so, if the flag bearer was shot, then someone would take his place. But here's the thing though. The flag bearer was always the first one to be targeted on the battlefield. In other words, if you see a guy marching with a flag, your first instinct is to shoot him, not the other soldiers. Reason being, it can stop more further bloodshed. And here's the thing, a lot more people would grab the flag rather than allow it fall to the ground. That's the problem though. Seeing as though that person would die instantly as soon as he's marching, you can see what might happen later as soon as, say, about a regiment of troops, such as, say, like at the Battle of Gettysburg, or for example, the Battle of Antietam, Bull Run, and so on. The most famous battles we saw mostly flag bearers fall to the ground more and more faster. But as well, a lot of them are the bravest soldiers in history. Some of them would later on be in World War I or as well in World War II. But as well, they're pretty much the most forgotten soldiers. But the thing is, the flag bearers were incredibly the bravest. Reason being, they didn't have a firearm on them, they didn't carry any weapon, yet they were always the first to be targeted. And as well, some soldiers even wrote to their wives and loved ones, stating that it was a high honor to carry their country's flag. Stating that it would be a high honor to carry my country to the very end. If I fall, then let it be. Some people even thought that they would not be the ones that would be shot on the battlefield, since it was technically unheard of in the battles ever since. Because back during the time of the American Revolution, it was stated that the flag bearer on both sides was never shot at. Thing is though, by the American Civil War, things changed. And flag bearers kind of got shot 3 times more than any conflict. Now, I have heard though that in some letters, it's recommendations, that some soldiers actually charged the fields of the battlefield. In fact, during the time of the Battle of Gettysburg, for example, some flag bearers actually charged headlong into musket fire during Pickett's charge. And in doing so, they led the way and pretty much broke through Union lines. Now, though, since the guy doesn't have a firearm, it doesn't work out so well. Though there was a first lieutenant, I guess it was, give or take, who actually held an American flag at the Battle of Antietam, rallying his men, only using his revolver in the case of firing back. But in doing so, he was clipped with musket and saber wounds all across his body. In doing so, he was falling faster than a normal soldier would, because technically he was being, well, targeted by enemy soldiers. And in fact, a Confederate soldier actually charged at him, grabbed the American flag from his hands, and ran away. Now, if you guys don't realize the significance of taking someone's flag, especially the regiment flag, it's stated that if they take a regiment's flag or their American flag, it's kind of like an insult to the regiment, and as well to the country itself. So pretty much it's like this. It's like you're flipping off the, well, government, and including the type of regiment you stand for. So in other words, that regiment wouldn't allow it. Now, it is stated, though, that the lieutenant actually chased after this Confederate soldier and managed to, well, grapple it out of his hands by punching him, or as well, even grabbing his sword and cutting his head off. Some people even state that it hit him in the shoulder. Others say that he, in the process, was so weak that he couldn't actually bring the flag back, and actually took it from the pole itself, and actually folded it into his own coat. Now just imagine that, though. The guy was brave enough to actually do this, to make sure his country, his regiment, wasn't insulted by the enemy. Now, if you guys don't realize this, technically Bannermen were actually mostly attached to their regiment banner because it was such a high honor. It's kind of like, say, someone took like $1 million from your bank account. So, yeah, you can see what I mean by that. But as well, the rebel regiments kept using this formation fighting. But in the process, a lot of people were still killed, even by the time of World War I, by carrying an American flag on the battlefield, or even a British, French, or even German flag, doing the old-fashioned marching and such. And in fact, the American Civil War was probably the most brutal war America ever faced. But as well, seen as though most of the American soldiers that fell on the battlefield were actually young boys, not men. That's right. Now, if you guys don't realize this, most of the Bannermen were not men at all, but actually young boys that were sent to war, who joined the regiment. In fact, they were only like a couple of years older than a drummer boy. So let's think about that. You're marching in a unison line, carrying the banner, and here's the thing, you're the first one to get shot. That's not even the worst part, though. Some people even state the reason why the banners were always targeted was because of the morale and spirit of the soldier. So in other words, just think of a massive volley formation that's firing in that one general vicinity of the banner. You can see what's going to happen. It's going to get musket fire all across, killing hundreds of soldiers. And in fact, yes, it's even stated that many times when the banner would fall, another would take its place, after another. We can even see this in the movie Gettysburg, in the movie Gods and Generals, or even in the movie Glory, in which are pretty much my three favorite types of Civil War movies. But as well, it's even stated that while fighting, many of these bannermen actually used the staff of the, well, flag itself as a weapon, especially the spear point, stabbing their opponent in the process, or as well using the back piece as a butting weapon. Now, it is stated, though, that while fighting back against both Union and Confederate forces, both sides pretty much sometimes nearly fought against each other. In other words, both bannermen actually sometimes collided with the other, just to prove who is stronger. And it's stated that if you could actually, well, say, mow him down, like say like this guy's Confederate, this guy's Union, and say if like they just conjoin, here's the thing, those two bannermen, whoever actually pushes the other one back and actually pushes on forward, that side's gonna win. Now, it is stated, though, that that was never actually true, but still. But as well, sometimes it was even stated that at the Battle of, if I remember correctly, Chickamauga Creek, I think it was, that some Confederate soldiers actually lost their banners just because of a small retreat. And that was because Union soldiers were Union sharpshooters were shooting them from behind and killing the bannermen. Now, why was the bannermen so important to the battlefield? I can hear you guys. Well, as I stated, it's pretty much important to the regiment. It's their honor, their class, their system. And sometimes it was even stated by the United States military that if you lost a banner, then you are no longer worthy to be known as a regiment. Which, that's kind of an insult to the face, if you think about it. Because let's imagine it, your regiment is charging, they're doing high honors before the battle, even before the loss of its banner, and next thing you know, they lose it, and that's the end of it. They no longer have any more honor to be given. They lose all honor and hope, and pretty much are forced into other divisions. But as well, when we think about it, it's kind of terrifying to think of the problems with the American government. The reason why they did this is kind of clear. They didn't have that much resources to lend out, since most of their armies were already on the battlefield. Another problem with the Confederate Army is because they were running out of resources to make the flags was actually because of a simple reason. The Union Army was destroying their supplies and very, very cruelly attacking innocent civilians. But now, if you guys think about it, when it comes to the American Civil War, many southern regiments loved carrying the battle flag. And some of these battle flags are really impressive. There was even the Irish Brigade battle flag of the Emerald Rock, or the Emerald Shamrock as it's also known as, since it was known as the Emerald Shamrock Division or the Irish Brigade, used by the Irish military, used by the Irish Brigade of the Union, while the Confederate Irish, who are also, in which both of these two divisions actually met each other at the Battle of Fredericksburg, and yes, that is in the movie Gods and Generals. And the really cool part about this one, it looked like a regular Confederate national flag, but with the Harp of Ireland. If you guys don't realize the Harp of Ireland is a symbol that's for, well, a type of, I guess you might say, well, their flag at the time before it changed, but you get the point. Now it is stated though that that battle regiments actually used their flag as a symbol. In fact, sometimes even other divisions wanted to get back at that division that costed them a victory. Such as like we might see at Fredericksburg when it came to, if I remember correctly, the division of, I can't remember what it was, Pennsylvania, was it? Massachusetts? No. Anyways, 20th Maine. In fact, when the 20th Maine actually fought back against the Confederates at the Battle of Fredericksburg, they lost massive casualties and faced back against that Confederate army, the same division, on the Battle of Gettysburg, and even yelled this type of word that actually echoed upon the field: Fredericksburg, Fredericksburg, reminding them that this was the division that cost them a battle at Battle of Fredericksburg. But at the Battle of Gettysburg, they won. It was only a couple of weeks or so later that the 20th Maine ended up losing another half of their division by the same division that lost the Battle of Gettysburg. So yeah, you can see why it was kind of impressive that many divisions, such as banner bearers, really despise the idea of losing their flag, losing their honor, and as well, still wanting to keep fighting. But still, the banner carriers are probably the most forgotten soldiers in history, since they pretty much faced hell on earth, especially nearly receiving cannon fire, musket fire, and worse. But as well, this is actually one of the most hilarious things that you can actually ever hear in history. Some banner carriers were targeted so much by cannons, sometimes the cannon went overhead, but in the process hit the flag itself, not being known to the bannerman himself. In fact, some bannermen would actually carry the flag back to their own forces, even badly wounded. Sometimes they would crawl on the field, but having the banner on top of them. That's kind of impressive. But anyways, guys, if you guys want me to talk any more about this subject, let me know in the comments below. If you guys want me to talk anything about the American Civil War, also let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Also click that bell button for any more. And always remember, guys, remember to keep your swords unsheathed. Thank you.